Hello and welcome to Guy Logic. My name is Temco and today we are taking a look at a beta for Atlas Reactor. It is a new MOBA game coming out from TRION, and it takes a little bit of a different spin on the MOBA genre with a turn-based tactical game. It is also free to play, so it is going in direct competition with games like League of Legends and Dota. So we're going to talk a little bit about that, as well as the PC port, its performance, its settings, its options, its customization, as well as how the game plays in general. Now, if you're not interested in all that extra stuff and you just want to get to the meat of it, you can press the annotation on screen and that will send you straight on to the gameplay section. For the rest of us, let's talk a little bit about the PC port, the business model, and things like that in regards to Atlas Reactor. First things first, the options menu is very saddening, to say the very least. It only has 3 graphical presets, full screen or windowed. It does constrain mouse to window, which is a very good thing. It has resolution options, master volume and music volume. It does not have a separate FX volume slider or voice over volume slider, which this game does need in my opinion. You can do the cursor locking, unlocking, or smart. I'm not sure what it does, I've just left it on the default. But lock and unlock works as fine. And you will have freelancer chatter, that's in-game chatter that they will use, that you can turn off, which is a pretty good thing, and then some general settings. This is a pretty weak options menu. I'd expect a little bit more later down the line when the game comes to full release, or at least I hope they add more, because right now you only have 3 presets, no customization for anti-aliasing, post-processing, or anything like that, which is a bit of a shame. Now the game does run fine at 60 FPS. I've not had any drops in any of the matches, which is perfectly acceptable. So I have no complaints regarding the PC performance. Also, the game has no crashes, and from what I can see, the beta is a very polished state. It feels more like a demo for a release coming up in a few weeks than something that still doesn't actually have a release date, which is probably somewhere in the fall of later this year, going by a guesstimate of what the internet is saying. Other than the options menu, the game has free to play, which means that you buy champions and you unlock them with either in-game currency or real-world money. So let's talk about their business model first, and a little bit about how much things cost compared to some of their main competitors. That is mostly League of Legends, as well as Dota. There's some other competitors, but we're gonna focus on those two as well, because I'm familiar with those two. Now, you buy credits. If you've played any other game, you're pretty much familiar with this. These credits cost a certain amount of money, and you can buy champions. They're called freelancers here, skins, and leveling and experience boosters. Now, you can also unlock these freelancers, EA champions, I'm gonna call them freelancers for now, for currency you get in-game. These are the ISO points you get by completing levels, leveling up your character, leveling up champions, completing daily objective, much like Heroes of the Storm does. So there's a few ways to earn that. And you can unlock these champions doing that, or you can just buy them flat out. Now, if you're paying attention here, you could see that on the store section, it costs you about €5 to purchase 750 credits. And 750 credits is some of the cheapest champions, like the Garrison champion. He's 600 credits, which is right about €5. And then you have the Asana, which is a bit around 750. And you have a few more expensive champions, like LA, who cost a bit more than that. But if you're looking at the free-to-play prices, EA the unlockable prices, most of these champions are ridiculously expensive in terms of points. For example, Nyx is 50,000 ISO points. Now, you're looking at 30,000 points right now. That is 11 levels of leveling with boosters, with everything saved, all the leveling and all daily objectives for 28 games. 28 games for 30,000, including all the leveling bonuses. I've played mostly 2 champions, and I have not unlocked any of the freelancers. I have not unlocked anything of the kind for these ISOs. I feel currently the pricing for these champions is a little bit on the high side for unlocking them, as well as being ridiculous in the high side for some of the more exclusive champions, so to say. I get that they have a bit of a problem here. They currently only have 16 freelancers in the game, which means that to unlock all of those really fast, like League of Legends has with like all these champions they've had built over the last couple of years, is going to be a problem for them, because one of the major reasons people keep playing is to unlock new stuff. And one of the main things you can unlock is more of these freelancers. So getting people hooked in to unlock these freelancers seems to be a very smart thing to do from a business and game design point. But it is still shitty when you have to get 75,000 ISO, and on average for a match you'll get around between 150 and 200 based on certain modifiers, which is not a lot when you need 75,000. Now I've got 30,000, but that's a lot of extra bonuses I've earned because I leveled my champion, I leveled my levels, I did all that stuff extra, which are one-time boosts. So I'm not really happy with the prices, and I do hope they lower them significantly, at least on the unlockable aspect. Outside of unlocking things with ISO, you obviously have champion skins, which much like in League of Legends, you can only buy these with real world money. And this is mostly a accepted practice in free-to-play games. It's cosmetic, it doesn't add anything to the game, it's fine. No complaints here at all. The prices are, I feel, a little bit on the high side, but I've taken a look at League of Legends prices, just for comparison a little bit ago. And there's not much difference there. Some of the higher end skins for champions in League of Legends aren't much cheaper here. 1500 ISO is around $10, which is basically what more higher end League skins cost. Obviously they have a lot more higher end skins, and League has a very large variety of cheap and high end skins, so they have definitely stuff here they can improve and add on. Lastly, you can really see a little bit in my profile. One more thing you can unlock is banners and stats. Banners and stats you unlock in the game by playing, and these are emblems, these are backgrounds for your champions, and so on and so forth. And some of these are unlocked through tournaments, some of these are unlocked through the season mechanic, and some of them are simply things you have to unlock by accomplishments. Lastly, when you have a freelancer, and if I go to my play session here, if you have a freelancer, you can also configure a few things. One of those things are the skin, obviously, and skin variants that you unlock based on level. You have abilities and modifiers for those abilities. These you unlock with the ISO, which modify your in-game abilities, much like Heroes of the Storm does it with its leveling mechanic, and you can pick and choose which path you want to build on. The game doesn't have a leveling mechanic, by the way. We'll get into that in a second. It also has a couple of catalysts that allow you to customize your special abilities. And then it has taunts, which are again unlocked with real world money. Again, cosmetic, doesn't really add anything. But from what I'm getting, already expensive champions with quite a few variants on expensive skins and then expensive taunts, it does feel like being nickeled and dimed, especially when the free stuff, so to say, the stuff you have to unlock through playing, is pretty limited. Now, the game has a variety of modes: practice, solo, cooperative, versus, customs, and ranked, as well as a sort of season, which is in essence the same way Heroes of the Storm does daily contracts, where you get like a quest, you have to complete that day, and you can stack up to 3 of them. A season lasts for a number of weeks, and you can unlock challenges for the season, level up, and get experience based on whether or not you've completed a specific season, which is a pretty cool additional twist to keep people coming back and playing day after day. I do like this system. Lastly, they have also implemented a sort of crafting system. I'm not yet sure how that works, as currently in the beta I haven't had the chance to experience that, so what that entails I still have no idea. Now, that is it for all the things surrounding the game. In short, I think the game is a very competitive market. I feel their prices are a little bit on the high end, but they do have quite a variety of ways for you to keep coming back and unlocking new bits and pieces of your character and your level and your count as you play. So that is a pretty cool thing. Let's go into some gameplay. Let's go ahead and dive into some gameplay. So I've pre-recorded some gameplay earlier on, and I'll talk a little bit more about mechanics for the game itself. Okay, so we are now in the loading screen for the game. The game is 4v4 with each player having a different freelancer, and the game's matchmaking tries to mix and match one frontliner, which is what I'm playing in Garrison, 2 DPSers, and a support character. Now this could be a healer, this could be a shielder, this could be somebody that's good for crowd control. There is a variety of things they do, and you sort of have to make a good composition. This is no different than League or Dota or any other game like that. Now what is very different though is that this is a turn-based game. Now I mean turn-based in the sense of civilizations. No. This game has asynchronous turns, or actually synchronous turns, which means that both sides take a turn at the same time. So it's less about strategically planning ahead several turns and playing chess in essence. No, this is about figuring out what your opponent is going to do and see if they're going to move away, try to attack you, put your shield up. Maybe they're going to dash away and you want to teleport to them. Maybe you know they have a very specific, very hard ability and you want to body block for an ally. You have to keep track of their cooldowns, their abilities, and stuff like that. And the better you are at doing this, getting sort of into their head, this mind gaming sort of thing, the better your experience will be. It is a pretty interesting twist on the MOBA genre. Now, how do the turns work? Now, each turn has a few phases. Each phase plays itself in turn. First is the setup phase, which you could see in the video, is where both sides simultaneously, without knowledge from each other, have a certain time to plan their moves. This could be shield abilities, this can be your special abilities, this can be movement, whatever you want to plan ahead in this time. Now, these abilities are in one of three categories. They are either blast abilities that do attack phases, which are abilities that attack or engage or otherwise attack an opponent. These are prep abilities. These are abilities that you can often think of like getting up a shield, setting down a trap, preparing any ability for the next turn, a bunch of things like that. There are also movement abilities are also in this phase, but then there are specific movement abilities. So you have movement abilities such as teleports, and you have movement abilities such as repositioning abilities. These are in the dash phase. Now there's a few differences between each phase, and the game has a very cool tutorial explaining all of that, but the basic essence of it is this. In the prep phase, you prepare your things, be they attacks, be they traps, be they whatever. In the dash phase, all players simultaneously from both sides do their movement abilities. All of these go off at the same time, and if you come across each other, you all miss each other. So there can be some really funny situations. Then lastly, the blast phase is the third phase here, where enemy attacks are triggered, or your attacks are triggered as well. Now, if your enemy is moved away and you have a big blast shooting ahead of you, and there's nobody there left because in the dash phase they dashed away, then you shoot into empty air, and that's your problem. You should have planned ahead knowing they had a dash. If you suddenly have two enemies in front of you, or enemy body blocks, or has a shield up that you didn't plan for because you didn't know they were going to do that, it could backfire spectacularly. So it is really interesting how they have done the combat system in the game for this. I was really entranced by it because you have a very short time to make these movement plans. In fact, it says 60 seconds for co-op. It's 30 seconds in PvP to plan your own move for your turn. And that is not a lot of time to keep track of all their abilities, talk to your allies over chat, coordinate stuff like that. So you're gonna have to do a lot of gut feeling, a lot of knowledge, a lot on what you hope your allies and your opponents will do. And obviously, if you're on Discord or TeamSpeak or whatever, you can communicate a lot faster by using everything else, but that goes for every competitive title. Now, once the turn is played out, a next turn starts, and that is really it. But how do you win? Well, the game has two types of victory condition, and regardless of the map you're playing, these are always the same victory conditions. In the top of the screen, there is a point score that either tells you to kill 5 enemies, and whoever gets to that point first wins, or survive 20 turns, and whoever has the most turns at the end of that wins. If at the end of that both sides are tied, sudden death begins, which says that the first turn that one side has more players killed than the other side, they lose. So whoever kills more players in a sudden death turn wins. If both sides kill one player, well, the game just continues until one side has a clear win in a turn. So that is in essence the game. Now there's about 3 maps I've experienced right now, and the maps have also different compositions. So before we dive into the intricacies of different abilities and how they interact with each other, there's a few more things to talk about in regards to positioning and map design. The game uses a cover system, but you'll mostly notice in cover-based shooters, where hiding behind something will give you either partial or full cover and allow you to reduce the damage you take. Now there's again abilities that ignore this, or provide more of it, or otherwise give modifiers to this based on which freelance you're playing. But in general, if you're hiding behind something, you'll take less damage. Secondly, there is these invisibility zones, sort of hidden areas. These are the areas on screen you see with glitters floating above them, these grids. If you stay in those grids and you don't really do anything, the enemy can't see you. So that's a really good way to get hidden into something. The game also uses line of sight. So if you are out of line of sight, you can move freely and the enemy will have no idea where you are. All they are aware of is where you were the last time they could see you before you left line of sight. And if this is in the middle of your dash ability, they have no idea if you've finished your dash, if you've cut it short, or anything like that. They just know where you left line of sight, which is a pretty nice little addition I do enjoy. The champion I'm playing on screen is called Garrison. He is a frontline champion that does a ton of damage, but whose main job is to be a big, meaty shield and disrupt your opponent. Now he's slow, he's bulky, and dodging his abilities is pretty easy. They're short range, they only do AoE situationally, so for him it's all about getting in position with his jumps and stuff like that, and then either taking a beating or, being there and smashing face. Different champions have different abilities. Obviously, they are very diverse in terms of cast, even though they fall into a couple of archetypes. Now, on screen right now, we have a very nice bunch of different freelancers available for play. Lockwood is a gun-toting DPS character that deals a ton of damage with his abilities and that can shoot bullets off walls to ricochet into enemies. We have Asana, that is a sword-wielding badass, whose abilities mostly consist of generating shields and dashes, where she repositions herself and deals a bunch of AoE damage. We have Zuki, that is a lot like Jinx from League of Legends. She has a big gun, and that gun throws out a lot of rockets everywhere. The variety of champions and their abilities is pretty good. Now, where my main problem with this game and its business model comes from is that they only have 16 implemented as of right now. This means that, unlike League of Legends that had 40 at release, but we're not talking about the release, they have to compete with League of Legends right now that has over 100, with Dota with a ton of champions, with Heroes of the Storm with a ton of champions, they're going to be in a very tough spot to provide the necessary amount of content in terms of a variety of freelancing champions to keep people interested. They're gonna have to add a whole ton more of them, I feel, to stand a chance to peel away a little bit of League's player base, or Dota's player base, or any other player base really, which they need to because these markets are really saturated. And we could see that people were not willing to move away from League or Dota or whatever else because they had invested time, they had invested money into those games, and now they had to do the same thing again in a different game. Now, obviously, Smite has done their own thing with that by saying you could buy the box for €30 or $30, and you're gonna get every champion in the game until the end of time, which is a pretty interesting way of doing it, because that means that people can do a one-time investment and get all the gameplay they might want or need, regardless of when the game comes out. They're not forced to come back time and time again to unlock all these new champions they never had before. Sadly, Atlas Reactor does go the route of League of Legends, expecting you to, in fact, it is built around the idea of you coming back day after day, doing the daily quests, doing the seasons, getting ISOs, buying a few credits, unlocking a champion, unlocking a skin, getting an upgrade here, an upgrade there, getting a new champion, leveling that up. And while that is pretty interesting from a development standpoint, right now they are competing with the biggest behemoth in gaming, League of Legends. And I'm not sure that their current idea of nickel and diming, as I feel it, with a very limited champion pool, will be offset by the very interesting and very cool gameplay of this synchronous turn-based system to allow for a large enough player base to sustain the game. And that is where my main fear for this game comes from. Now, the game is obviously not finished. It has months left in development. But as it stands right now, if I take a step back and look at what I see of the game currently in this beta experience, is that it's slightly expensive for what it offers in terms of champion unlocks and time investment compared to some of the other games that are really easy to pick up and play. But it does provide a very interesting change to the old, fast-paced, very chaotic gameplay of MOBA titles into a more methodical method of playing where it's less about clicking the buttons as fast as possible, but getting in your opponent's head and knowing what and when they can do things, which is a really cool thing. And I cannot understate how amazing it feels to nail a player that you know has a dash, and you use your jump and jump right when he dashes in the direction that he dashes because you foresaw him doing that, even though you have no idea how you know this. You're just looking and playing at the game and thinking, if I was that opponent, I'd go there, and then reacting on that. It is a really great experience to nail those moments, and they happen time and time again. They're not very rare. Every match you'll have these moments, and that is really cool. But on the other hand, you have to unlock champion by champion, level them up one by one, and that's a humongous time investment with a very limited champion pool, and as far as I've seen, only one game mode, which is the 4 versus 4 versus mode. Even though they have a variety of methods of doing that, that is the only game mode in a couple of maps. So I'm really interested to see how they bring this forward with more maps, more game modes, more of these freelance heroes, because right now that's the feeling I get. What I'm seeing, amazing, but there is so little of it, and it asks so much investment and time from its players that I'm not sure people are willing to switch off it from League or Dota, or maybe they're not even targeting those players. Maybe they're looking for a very different kind of player. But from my experience, from what I've seen so far in chat and with talking to other people, it's basically the same players that enjoy this type of game, this fast-paced, quick, short, adrenaline-filled gameplay. So, that is Atlas Reactor in a nutshell. More stuff needed is my basic conclusion here. More heroes, more champions, more of everything. But what is currently in the game is phenomenal. And I have enjoyed my time with the beta very much. And I can't wait to get my hands on it, on the finished product, and provide you with a full review when that time comes available. But in so far, what I can tell you about Atlas Reactor is that's pretty cool. And I really enjoy it. So you should probably check it out when the open beta starts in a couple of months. Because I think you might enjoy it. Is it enough to pull you away from League, Dota, Heroes of the Storm, or Smite? That's up to you. But it's pretty fun. So thank you for watching. If you like this video, press the like button below. If you don't like this video, well, there's a dislike button for exactly that reason. And leave a comment. Tell us what we can do better. Tell us what you enjoyed. We want to hear back from all of you. And if you want to see more content like this on the channel, just press that subscribe button and we will deliver. And until then, I wish you a good day. And until next time, right here on Guy Logic.